Hey everybody, I'm Sean Robinson,
I'm Carson Grubaugh. Welcome to Living the Line Reacts.
and we kind of tossed this out in a previous Reacts video. The idea of who mentioned it? I said something about certain marks looking like a Picasso ink drawing when we were
Yeah,
watching what's his name?
Breccia,
Yeah,
Alberto Breccia.
Alberto Breccia drawing with a razor blade, and Carson was like, "Oh, that'd be interesting, Picasso." Yeah, so let's roll the tape.
Let's check
Carson,
out.
what you have preconceptions about Picasso drawing before
Um,
we? Because I mean, to me, he always of the sort of this age of modernists, he seems the freest and the most spontaneous and sort of the most confident. Matisse always seems kind of like a coward to me.
yeah,
Uh, and lots of their contemporaries are very cowardly from a sort of line and materials handling standpoint. Do you know
yeah.
what I mean?
My impression of Picasso is, knowing how talented he was at such a young age, that he got bored and had to push all the boundaries, and then really, began to value the childlike directness of drawing. And you see his drawings that are just one or two, three lines, and they are extremely confident, but it has that childlike directness with all of the talent and knowledge behind it. And I think that's pretty obvious just looking at his drawings. So I don't think I'm going to be particularly surprised.
Well,
I don't. What about you?
I mean, looking at his face here, I'm seeing exactly what I was expecting to see. So, I'm not really sure. Yeah, the verve and confidence in somebody who makes exactly the thing that they want to make in that moment, and then they are off to the next thing. I mean, that's the thing that I'm anticipating. I always felt like there's a great kind of impatience in a certain kind of personality, impatience with the speed that the world operates, and impatience with people who want them to be in one place for a certain amount of time. And it's very interesting to see this intensity that they start with here, because this is what I associate with his
Well, and he
gaze.
definitely had the
Art.
performer aspect to him. Um, like the idea of like him and his, like he's got the alcohol. He's there with no shirt on. It's like
Comfortable
strength and
from the shoulder.
yeah.
So phony documentary footage here. That is in their real documentary. They have phony. Look, this is on track
Yeah.
here. So this is a phony setup here. Whether or not he's
I mean, he's happy to go along with it
uh,
and just
roll it.
yeah, this is what I'm talking about with childlike confidence. Just get that
Yeah.
marker and go.
Yeah, of course, no preliminary whatsoever, because why, right? His entire reason for doing the thing that he's doing is all based on the mark and intuition of the moment. Oh man,
That's nice to be able to see it from this is like being able to watch him draw with a tablet, but
yeah, this is a very. I feel a little bit like I'm intruding, but
this is fantastic. And see, watching the ink bleed is really
yeah,
nice too. As a rooster, but he saw a face in it as he went.
yeah,
And like, who knows? I mean, this is obvious, like you said. Yeah, look at that. He's just free associating.
yeah,
This is obviously a pretty artificial thing, so who knows how much he's performing the intensity,
sure,
but he
yeah. But look
seems.
at
Go
look
ahead.
at that face applied right on top of the rooster. That's wild.
Yeah, he seems legitimately absorbed to
Oh
me.
yeah.
The intensity of the absorption.
And look at the sense of hierarchy in that image. We freeze it right here. Freeze it at the state that it's on. Um, Look at the hierarchy of this image. So he's established the line work with one tool, and almost all contour motion. This first figure. We got the second figure coming in with the color stage as like an applique, and then pushing all the background back with a second tool. Uh, therefore, like establishing like a hierarchical difference between those two those two areas, and also pushing the background back simultaneously.
Yeah, and the warm, cool contrast, all of
Mm.
that stuff. This seems very influenced by Juan Miro.
Hmm.
Like, I that's one thing about Picasso is he wasn't afraid to chase the trend either, because like,
Right.
he was always looking to do something different, um, whether he was the guy who was coming up with it or not. He was just such an immense talent that he could take whatever. Yeah, look at that. And he's having fun too.
Yeah.
That's the childlike, like, there's glee in it still for him, and they're like, "Oh, you're just gonna get."
Fuck you in your picture.
But this is really interesting though, because he was setting out with no predetermined idea, and he saw a rooster at first, like, he started drawing that, and then the face showed up to him, and
Right.
that became the thing that was more interesting for whatever reason, and that's what he went with. And then you have these other bits. I mean, who knows where he's going to go with them? There's not much time left, but they're compositionally interesting. It's like a feather that he's wearing on his hat or
Right.
something. I just like no fear, I think, is the thing with him.
No.
He said, "The fuck, I'm going to stop. I'm not done yet. I see something else." Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Oh,
here,
all right. I know what this is.
his signature. No shirt on. He's just really impressed with.
Yeah.
He looks strong as shit though.
Yeah. Oh man. Holy moly. Okay, so I think since we've just spent some time looking at other illustrators, literally illustrators, this
Yes.
is an instructive difference because obviously Picasso, had he wanted to, could have just sat down and been like, "Okay, here's a chicken. What's that? You want the chicken to jump up on the table? Here you go." Right?
Yeah.
However, instead, in that moment, he is giving himself the opportunity and the license to react to the thing that he has made. He has made
Mhm.
something, and as a part of the stage of that, he has reacted to that thing. And I think that that's sort of the disconnect between a lot of pure drawing tasks and an illustrative, constructive drawing task in which you are tasking yourself with make this thing, right? He has failed as a comic artist here.
Oh,
Picasso has.
yeah. But he's and I think that is one of the main differences. Like when we were talking about Jim Lee, it's like Jim Lee found his lane and stuck in it and has only done like maybe minor surface kind of
Deviations.
variations since then.
Huh?
It's got a little bit more polished, a little less rough, to its detriment, actually, I think. Whereas I feel like the artist, and there's definitely people that are in museums that like Robert Bechtel is going to be painting a photorealist like sedan, not sedan, but like old like mom four-door car in San Francisco streets for the rest of his life.
Right.
And Ralph Goins is going to be painting photorealistic ketchup bottles for the rest of his life. But there's that, I think, really true artistic spirit that can't be happy setting still.
Mm.
And like
Even in the same
Picasso's,
drawing.
yeah. Yeah. And Picasso's like the height of that, I think. Probably someone who goes from at 16 is doing, impressive academic figure drawing, fully realistic, and inventing new styles and taking on any new style that comes on and trying to process it as his own. um, I don't know, like that's the spirit I respond to. And of course, like I love comics, and so I want to
Right.
do that in comics. And I think we're starting to see more of that in comics as it becomes something that's probably partly, like you said, when talking about Jim Lee, it's not necessarily something a lot of people can do as a career. So you have a
Right.
lot of people doing it on the side at night, and they can be more restless because like if they lose half of their audience because of a style change, like who
Yeah,
cares? I'm not making a living off of this
yeah,
anyways.
absolutely. Yeah, there's a certain freedom in that giving up. There's freedom in giving up. That's a good quote.
Yeah. And
TM, TM,
there's
TM.
there's I think that's where we'll see the biggest changes in comics and have been. I mean, you have like Dave Mazzucchelli and
Mm.
people who have really style per project or whatever. But I think the more of those Picassos we get, Tommy Masturi actually is
Yeah,
someone who comes to
absolutely.
mind too. The really stylistically restless artists are the people that I'm most interested in now. So, who's going to be our first real Picasso that is the genius level talent that can't sit still? That will be
Yeah,
interesting.
that'd be very interesting. And it becomes more and more possible when people are following the creator rather than the creation, because of course what we have the crazy situation with the the superhero world is of course the creation being the thing that people follow just means that you derive that style essence over and over and over again through different hands
Yeah.
and different dilutions of it until you have a photo, fifth, sixth, seventh, 10th generation copy of Jack Kirby spitting out doorknob colored, Fantastic Four.
Or I mean, you do get someone like a wild man like Sam Keith comes in, and you get an interpretation of Wolverine that is with the verve of Picasso, but then still Sam Keith still has his lane. He still
Right.
draws like Sam Keith.
Yep.
And yeah, I quite look forward to. I think the other thing is the audience is going to have to get used to people who never sit still, but you can count on it being a good book at least.
Right.
And as long as there's that kind of guarantee of quality, then structural things, material things, stylistic things can go
Mhm.
out the window.
Yeah.
And that's just going to take a certain level of creator that can constantly be great no matter what they do.
Right. Well, here's to it. Cheers.
Plaza by Yokoyama Yuichi. This is translated by Ryan Holmberg and is very large for a manga, so that's a really cool feature of this book, this standard manga size. And this is just a 200 some odd page representation of what Yokoyama Yuichi thinks of the Carnival parade. And he's just made this like relentlessly loud and rhythmic book that pushes all kinds of amazing boundaries of what comics and manga are. And we could not recommend this book more.